From brokenness to breakthrough, this is Failure into Freedom. I'm Katie Holt-Lehrman, a mom, wife, entrepreneur, and survivor, here to share my story of walking away from domestic violence, finding healing through faith, and learning to live free. Each week, we'll talk about resilience, hope, and the truth that no matter your past, you are never too far gone for freedom. This is real. This is raw. This is Failure into Freedom. Let's dive in. Hi, friends, and welcome back to Failure into Freedom. I'm Katie, and if you've been listening, you know the last episode was all about those red flags, the warnings we missed, ignored, or explained away. Today, we're stepping into what came next, the part where those red flags turned into reality. The constant tension, the walking on eggshells, the slow erosion of who I was, all in the name of trying to keep the peace. Before we dive in, I want to start with the verse that carried me through that storm. The Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. Exodus 14:14. I didn't realize it then, but God was already standing in the gap, even in the silence. Before I go any further, I want to share a gentle trigger warning. This episode contains personal stories that include domestic violence, substance, and emotional abuse. These are hard but real parts of my story, and I know how deeply they can affect someone who's still healing from similar experiences. Please take care of your heart as you listen. If you need to pause, skip ahead, or come back later, that's completely okay. And if you or someone you know is in an unsafe situation, there are people ready to help. You can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or visit the faith-based domestic violence support line at calltopeace.org. I'll list both in the description of this video. Just know, you are not alone. All right, let's dive back in. So I left you off right around our 1-year wedding anniversary, and we were visiting family in Dallas-Fort Worth at the State Fair, Texas, and I questioned about him withdrawing $1,000 out of my bank account, and just asked him, like, what did you need it for? What's going on? And we were on I-35, and that's when he proceeded to tell me he had no problem killing me or our 3-month-old, I think he was 3 months at the time, 3-month-old baby, and how he attempted to do that. And then we got pulled over by the police officer because we were speeding, and I thought he was going to be taken away, but he wasn't. Somehow, he was a lucky dog, man. Always got out of it. So we're just going to fast forward and hit about 3 more high points that really truly made me walk on eggshells. And just at that time, I thought I was submitting, but I was really just losing myself in the abuse. I didn't know it was abuse. I didn't understand it. I knew it was wrong. I knew it in my spirit, but I just lost myself. So we're just going to go over 3 high points. The goal is not to be as long, this podcast, but we'll see how long-winded I get with these stories. I do have it written out to try to stay, but I'll probably add some. If you know me in real life, you know that I like to add a little razzle dazzle. Not I like to add details, okay? I'm a woman. So it was supposed to be a peaceful Christmas. My family was in town, and it was our son's first real holiday. I remember running a bath one night and finding a small baggie on the counter. I knew instantly that it was something that was not supposed to be there. Come to find out, it was methamphetamines. I called him in, and he denied it loudly. I started hollering because I knew that my family was there and they would have my back. So I cornered him. I screamed for my brother. He panicked, ripped the baggie out of my hands, and put it behind his back and dumped it all over the floor on the carpet in our bedroom, where our baby could potentially be, because I was smart. He swore it was old. He swore he didn't have any. My brother started looking on the ground and started collecting up rocks of these drugs. Okay? They were rocks of this drug and putting them back in the baggie. He swore it was old. Let's go back to that. And my brother believed him and told me I should believe him. I was just in a shade of shock. He convinced my brother and sister-in-law that it was old. And they got on. My brother and sister-in-law were so hard on me. They were so hard on me because they said that I would always bash him and I wasn't submitting to him and I need to be nicer to my husband. I'm being hateful to him, and little did they knew what was going behind closed doors. I just knew that we were in a setting that I could finally dish something back and he wasn't going to meet me with a fist. Anyways, so when, I kind of cowered to all three of them. I cowered to my brother, I cowered to my sister-in-law, and I cowered to my ex-husband because they're all telling me like, yeah, he's telling the truth. It was old and he was going to flush it down the toilet and got distracted because my ex-husband was an airhead. Very likable, but he had ADD. Little did we know that it was meth head, but whatever. So I believed him. Later on, though, I did learn that he got it from the neighbor that morning and was planning to smoke it or inject it or however he was doing it at some point that day to take the edge off of my family being there. That moment of all three of them looking at me and trying to gaslight me into, you're overreacting, he's your husband, you need to submit to him, you need to believe him, you need to do this, you need to do that, how dare you get your family involved in this. That moment shattered me. I wanted to believe the man I loved was changing, but I was the only one fighting for the better. Psalms 34:18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. That night, I was crushed, but God was still close. We're going to go a little bit forward. That was, it's not that forward. It was only like maybe a few weeks later. The night I ran. The first time I ran, I had no plan. Just no choice. He physically assaulted me in front of a friend and a coworker. We waited until he passed out, asleep, and snuck out of the house like prisoners escaping in the dark. The next day, I went back for clothes and for baby stuff. He must have had someone watching the house. Probably the neighbor he bought the drugs from. Because he came up out of nowhere, blocked the front of my car in with his truck, ripped the baby out of my arms, and then put the baby on the ground behind my car so I couldn't drive. I couldn't back out. I couldn't get out. And then he kicked my car door. I kept my voice calm. I pleaded with him that I just needed a break. I was coming home. I was coming back to him. Everything was fine. Let's all go lay down as a family. Let's take a nap together. Let's just cuddle. It'll be okay. I was trying to call the police too, and he grabbed my phone and threw it up on the roof to try to stop me from doing anything. I finally convinced him that it was a misunderstanding. I love you. You're the love of my life. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. Can you please just get my phone down? I'll turn it off. I won't talk to anyone. I won't tell anyone what happened. I promise. I finally talked him off the ledge. He pulled my phone off the roof. It shattered. And then we went inside, got in the bed. I tried to stay so calm and tried to just play the part. I waited for him to fall asleep again, and then I bolted. I didn't even put the baby in the car seat. I put him in my lap, and I took off and just got lost somewhere where I knew he couldn't find me. Finally found comfortable enough to put the baby in the car seat. And then I took every back road possible from College Station, Texas to Fort Worth to get to my brother's house. As I drove away, his family called me and harassed me. They mocked me. They told me I couldn't hide from them The kind of fear, even to this day, stays in your bones. Isaiah 41:10, do not fear, for I am with you. I will strengthen you and help you. Even as I trembled, God was guiding my hands on the steering wheel. About 4 or 5 months later, he called, and I let him back in slowly. He said he was going to church. He said he had a steady job there in Bryan College Station, so he could be home with us every single night. He talked about the 12-step meetings and programs he was going to, the second chances. I wanted to believe it. I thought this was a miracle. I had prayed for this miracle. I had worshiped. I had cried out. I've gotten my face on the carpet, screaming and crying out to the Lord for this miracle. And it was happening. For a short time, it felt real. We even bought a house, a beautiful 4-bedroom place that was supposed to be our new start. But the peace didn't last. He lost his job, got fired from his job the day we signed the contract on the house and got the keys. The hostility came back, the sneaking out, the lies, the rage. He would crawl through the window of his man cave at night and vanish until the morning. When I questioned him, I was met with fists, holes in the wall, my baby being ripped out of my hands while I was nursing him, shattered phones, slammed doors, kicks, shoves, being told that me and my baby's life could end in a moment. So I stopped talking. I stopped fighting. I stopped hoping. I just survived. Working and caring for my baby and keeping the lights on. Even in that silence, God was whispering, you are not crazy. You are not invisible. You are still mine. Every one of those moments chipped away until I didn't recognize the woman in the mirror. That's what abuse does. It doesn't just hurt your body. It breaks your spirit. But even when I couldn't find my voice, God was already writing my comeback story. If you've ever been in a place where love feels like fear and you're constantly trying not to upset someone, I want you to hear this. That is not love. You are not crazy for wanting peace. You are not weak for staying. You are surviving the only way you knew how. Abuse doesn't always show up as bruises. Sometimes it shows up as silence, as shrinking yourself, as losing your laughter. There were nights I cried out to God and heard nothing back. But looking back, I realized his silence wasn't absence. It was protection. He was strengthening me to walk away one day and never look back. Isaiah 41:10 reminds me, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Even when my own hands and whole body were shaking, his never did. If you're in that storm right now, please know, peace isn't found by avoiding conflict. It's found by walking towards truth. You don't have to live in survival mode. You don't have to walk on eggshells to be loved. John 16:33 says, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Freedom doesn't always begin with a roar. Sometimes it starts with a whisper of faith that says, God, help me find a way out. He will meet you there and he will carry you through it. Going back to the last episode when we talked about a journal, and if you were walking in some type of situation where you find yourself questioning your own sanity, here are some writing prompts for you that I wish someone really kind of gave me when I was in the situation. And even now, if you're not going through abuse and you're just listening to hear my story because you're a nosy Nelly, And I say that to myself because I'm nosy. I want to know everyone's business too. But like, what's taking your peace? Think about these. Think about these prompts. Think about these thoughtful questions. 1, what situations make you feel like you have to shrink or stay silent? And how can you invite God into those spaces? 2, what does peace look like when I trust God to fight for me? 3, who reminds me of God's truth when fear tries to speak louder? And again, these writing, speaking, thought prompts, whatever you want to call them, they don't have to relate to relationships, like your significant other. They can relate to relationships with your family, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. It could relate to your work environment. It could relate to the people you keep. So just don't limit yourself, because this isn't just about abuse with a significant other. It could come from a variety of different places. Thank you for being here and letting me share this chapter of my story. Next time, we'll step into the breaking point. Woo! Get ready for that, because that's a doozy, let me tell ya. The moment everything changed and I had to choose myself and my future children and my children, even when it was terrifying. Until then, I leave you with this. Psalms 46:5. God is within her. She will not fail. God will help her at break of day. Take a deep breath, hold your head high, and remember, you are not walking alone. This is Failure into Freedom. Thank you for listening.